Welcome, welcome to tonight's webinar workshop. It's so exciting to talk into boundary essentials for empaths. We of all people need to feel safe and protected in order to thrive and prosper in the world today. So let's talk about what are the essentials to helping us to be able to protect ourselves and erect boundaries that will help us to really be able to be clear with people about how it is and is not appropriate to behave around us. Who would like that? Oh, I love it. I love the freedom of boundaries. So what I'm going to do is I'll just race through and put everyone on mute. And what we'll do is if you have any questions, feel free to type them through for orientation. Welcome, Tams. Good to see you. Hi, Stace. Go ahead and just have a look down at the chat function. That would be really good to be able to just to know how to use it. And go ahead and maybe tell me the one reason why you really need to learn more about boundaries tonight. So make it nice and clear. The one reason why you really need boundaries in your life right now. And let's start hearing what you all have to share. I'm just going to check in with Debbie on speakerphone. How are you, Debbie?
Sorry, can you hear me?
I can. You're up and running. You've hung up on me. Wonderful, darling. Hey, Tans. Okay, I'm going to mute you, Debbie, darling. But I'm really happy that you've got audio. I think we're all here.
Fantastic.
Yay. Okay. It was so funny. One of my friends, they were asking me to help them train them on Zoom, and then she told me how to mute everyone. I didn't know I could mute everyone. I love having power. It's really lovely. So let's hear. Yes, a giver. Intend to give too much. It was really good because Teresa posted a really powerful post on Heart Leaders the other day talking about how there are people who give a lot and there's people that receive a lot. Sometimes we call them takers. We'll call them receivers tonight. But we're often givers or receivers. And so it's really important for receivers to learn how to give and givers to learn how to receive. So that I don't feel overwhelmed by how much I need to do for others. Beautiful. To learn how to protect myself. So I don't feel overwhelmed by how much I need to do for others. This is wonderful to help me protect my energy by spending it only on what I want to spend it on. Okay, yeah, that is why we all get along. We deeply relate to one another. So just a raise of hands for those who do have their video up. Who has read the sheets for tonight's workshop? Okay, wonderful. What you'll notice about tonight's workshop is that it's quite practical. We will be actually going through these worksheets, and I've set them up in a way that you can re-replicate. So tonight, I want you to be able to narrow in on one area of your life, and we're actually going to go through the steps and actually support you to create the exact boundaries that you need in order to thrive in that area. What's really important is that when it comes to boundaries, it's not about where you should be putting them in your life right now. We only want to be focusing on where you do want to put them up in your life right now. So we've got a list of shoulds, but there'll be one area where you go, I really need to put boundaries into my life. So can I just express my exuberism that I'm so happy to see all your faces. I haven't seen some of you in quite a long time, and it's so lovely to see you all. I'm glad that Julia is here on the call. Quick head count, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 15. Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay, that's perfect. I guess I just wanted to start by telling you a little bit of a story of how I had no boundaries and I gave way too much, and I was really wanting to receive. So I had a lot of friends, and my friends knew that I was super giving, and they all absolutely lined up to capitalize on it. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. You become renowned for being the generous-hearted, listening, loving soul that we are. And I think what's really hard is that we don't want to sacrifice that identity by erecting boundaries, yeah? We don't want to come off as harsh or rude or mean or uncaring. And I think what's really wonderful is that boundaries actually give us permission to focus our love and energy in places where it's reciprocated. Not if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, reciprocation is what we're wanting. We're wanting to be able to invest our love and our insight and our quality time in people that invest it back in us. So that's really the aim of the game here. Let's see, what is Tamsin's? I want to give, but give too much, and even myself in the area of food. This is wonderful. I put food and eating as an area where we may want to improve our boundaries. Jody's sharing, I'm exactly the same. I give so much to my job and that I don't have anything else to give to anyone else. I did the same thing with my first 3 jobs. I just gave so much I would fully just lay down as soon as I got home. Julia's sharing, so that I learn how to say no to others when I need to focus on the things I need to do. Yeah, that's no problem, Julia. It's no problem to have your video off. Okay, so boundaries are the lines, and that's why I loved using this picture. I love using this picture because it had a rope in it, and that's a boundary. And there's beautiful grass and moss on the other side of the Japanese garden at the Hamilton Gardens, and that little bit of rope is a message that you're not meant to walk on the beautiful moss, okay? And you're meant to stay on the path side, and that's what boundaries are. It's like, this is a no-go zone. This is where you walk. This is how you deal with me. This is a no-go zone. So these lines or these boundaries that we have help us to be able to communicate what is and isn't acceptable. The hard thing is that the boundaries that your parents had and your family had are completely different to what your best friend's family had. Some kids were able to eat in a lounge room, some could only eat at the table. That's an example of boundaries around eating. And you would have seen many, many examples. The thing that we learn as children is we learn our family's boundaries. We learn not to swear if that's your family's boundary. We learn not to disrespect our parents. I've gone to some of my friends' houses and they just swear straight at their parents' face and just totally blew me away. So what we learn is we learn the boundaries from our parents, but we do not learn how to set up boundaries for ourselves. Hey. So then we become adults and we're wearing the boundaries of our parents, who are completely different individuals, and we don't actually have the knowledge or awareness of how to erect boundaries for ourselves. What I love about tonight is that tonight is particularly focused on empaths. Hi, Kimmy, darling. Would you mind muting your mic just for this part, and we'll play a little bit more later on. And as empaths, we're particularly sensitive, so it's not just swearing or abusive behavior or violence that we want to protect ourselves from. It's people that are emotionally overwhelming, emotionally draining, emotionally taking from us. So it's kind of like, you know, some people need some boundaries, but as empaths, just hanging around with some people can affect us. Just nod if you know what I'm talking about. So tonight, when we're talking about boundaries, we're talking them specifically for people that are highly sensitive and for people that feel the feelings within other people, because the boundaries that we need is actually quite different to the boundaries that other people need. So I want you to understand that and feel, I guess, the strength of the community that's around you. Everyone here is highly sensitive. Raise your hand if you know you are highly sensitive. If you know that you pick up on feelings from everyone around you and you often find yourself during the day reaching a place where you're confused about how you feel, and you have to actually spend time figuring out whose feelings you're feeling and actually make space to actually release that and get clear on how you feel. So you all know me, which is really lovely, and you know how sensitive I am, but it's really lovely. I want you to know that everyone here is dealing with the same thing, and that's really, really encouraging. Okay. So I just want to have a double check. Is everyone happy with their audio? Is everyone happy? If you're not, if you're having any trouble at all, just send me a message so that I can make sure that's super lovely for you. Okay, so I'm just going to give you a quick orienteer on what we're going to do tonight. You already read through the sheet. But what we're going to do is we're going to just focus on one area, because if you can nut your boundaries out in one area, I promise you'll be able to do it to any other area. So I want you to think of one area, and we're going to strategically and personally create the boundaries for that. So we're going to choose the area. Then we're going to be talking into how our feelings actually guide us to help us to know where the lines are. There's 4 feelings in particular: fear, anger, sadness, and hurt. Anytime that you feel any of these 4 feelings, that is, I guess, your own soul or spirit helping you to know and understand that you're not feeling safe, you're not feeling comfortable, and you've probably crossed the line or allowed someone else to cross the line. And this happens all the time. And this is how every kind of week or every month I'm actually upgrading my boundaries. Okay, so I've started to stop giving out my mobile number because people just started randomly calling me. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't like that. So I stopped giving out my mobile number. Yay, we live and we learn, don't we? And so I want to let you know that even once you erect these boundaries, every month I want you to be clarifying. Probably for me, every Friday or Sunday night, I spend time in deep reflection, feeling into my feelings. If there was any anger or sadness, I take a look at how I gave my power away and who I permitted into an inner sanctum that was not worthy. I make the adjustment and I feel better. Boundaries is really, for me, about self-honorment. If we don't hold ourselves in honor, no one else will. So it's actually our responsibility to educate people and help them to learn who we are. I'm very sorry. I remember I had some trouble with my 2 Degrees account for my business mobile, and I use a lot of call time, obviously. And so I went there and I was asking for something, and he was getting all flustered, and he started to raise his voice and speak really fast with me. And I said, excuse me, you're actually speaking quite loud at me. Would you mind just slowing down so that we can both understand each other and resolve this really quickly? And he's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm like, that's all right. You're speaking with an empress. You didn't know. I've updated you. It's all good. Do you know what I mean? But when you get those infringements, you have the power to be able to say, excuse me, you're infringing. Okay, now this feels harsh and rough and brutal, okay, but I'm going to help you to learn how it's going to help you to feel softer and more gentle, because I don't have to fear anyone hurting me because I've got my boundaries to a place where an infringement isn't going to hurt me. Okay, so if you can, alert, red flag, you've crossed the perimeter, back up the truck, Joe. You know, if you can start to see where you can put your boundaries at a place where you're super safe, you will sink in to the depth of your sensitivity. You will become more free to feel into your own world because you feel safe and supported. That's what I want for you. So this first half hour is where I'm recording and helping everyone who can't be here tonight really learn about boundaries. We're going to have a damn good time in the next hour because we're going to be practically looking at the concerns, hesitations, and the individual application for all of you. So we're using our feelings to actually figure out where our boundary perimeter is. Yay. Then we're going to be clarifying, okay, so what is acceptable behavior around me? Like no one raises their voices to me as not okay. And so that is the clearly, in my mind, not okay, cross the perimeter. But it's very important for you to qualify what is acceptable and what's not acceptable behavior in your world, because my family actually yelled at each other a lot. And when I was first married, my husband's family never had hardly any verbal conflict, just a few volcanic eruptions that were very short-lived. So when we were first married and I'd get passionate and raise my voice, that really affected my husband. So he had to set up a perimeter and say, you're speaking too loud to me. Can you lower your voice? And so I had to honor my husband's boundary there. Okay, so here's where it gets even more fun. Not only are you going to be erecting boundaries, but you're going to have consequences. Yes, this is where the real power comes in. And I've had people on the phone that have spoken to me in a certain way, and I've given a warning. If you keep talking to me in this way, I will not be able to stay in this phone call. I will need to hang up. And they continue to stay aggravated and rude. And I said, I'm hanging up now. And I say goodbye. Now, I'm sounding ruthless tonight. Oh, I love this. I've come so far. Oh, it's so exciting because I would have been horrified to do something like this in the past. But here's what I've realized. If I let someone yell at me over the phone when it has nothing to do with me and they're just having a vent or an attack, I will be down cow for 3, 6 hours, 2 days. And in my line of work, I need to be able to show up and be present, clear, and loving to my clients. I can't afford an energy drain. I can't afford for someone to bring me down because I know the hours it takes to get back up. Who knows what I'm talking about? The hours it takes to get back up. So I go, okay, if it's going to take you down by 3 hours and then you're going to need to have a long bath, listen to some India Ari and paint your toenails, then I go, you can short track that by just saying on the phone, I'm sorry, you're raising your voice. If you want to keep talking with me, I need you to speak to me more politely. Anyway, I've got all this rehearsed. I'm like stocked and loaded, ladies. So you are going to be discerning what are the consequences that you are going to be communicating to people if they do dishonor and respect your boundaries. If you have boundaries and you're not actually helping people to know what will happen if they dishonor them, it's like putting on swimmers and not getting the water. You know, you're not really doing it. Because what will happen is, as you tell people your boundaries, but you don't actually deliver consequences, they'll know that you're not serious and they'll just dishonor them anyway. Who knows? Who's seen that? Who's communicated a boundary and just saw someone totally walk over it like that? So this is why consequences, and the reason why I first found out about boundaries was in my marriage. My husband and me had very different boundaries, and we had a very interesting first 1 year of being married together, and we did a lot of work on boundaries and understanding and communicating needs and communicating how we needed one another behave around each other. You would think it'd be so much work. Then having our first baby, having to actually learn, by the time our son was 1 was when we started teaching our children boundaries. So he'd stick a fork in the PowerPoint. That's a no. That's a no child, you know? So boundaries are actually applicable in so many areas. It's really amazing to get the essentials. Okay, so the essentials are boundaries are so crucial to help you stay in your power, stay sensitive and soft. Your feelings will guide you to know where that line is. It's your responsibility to communicate where that line is. And if anybody does dishonor that and walk past your line, you need to let them know this is what's going to happen to you. How you doing? How you doing? Good. Okay. So let's see. I've got a good question coming in. What do you do when they don't comply? I like the word comply. Is anyone else a Star Trek fan? I just love Seven of Nine, the half-Borg. I just love her character. She's tight with her boundaries, man. So, Debbie, I think your question was probably answered. If they don't comply with your request boundary, that's when you deliver. Now, what's really important when you're delivering is that you've got to be very, very, very mindful of your consequence, because you have to be able to execute. And this is where empaths really fall down, is we don't execute, because we lose connection, we lose love. That's the perception. But we're going to find a way for you to deliver a consequence that you can sit with, and you're going to feel more love for yourself than ever before. The truth is that honestly, erecting boundaries within yourself, remember the world is your mirror. As I've done boundary work within myself, I really have to communicate it because I sit in it. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? I embody my boundaries. It's vibrating off my body. I really, that guy at Vodafone was the first time in 3 years anyone's raised their voice to me, because you do not do that in my presence. And that's where I want you to know that you're going to get to. You're not going to have to keep on communicating. All right. Or we execute the consequences and then feel guilty. Exactly. Guilt, guilt, guilt. I'm noticing that some of the boundaries I want to put in place for me are the boundaries I often push with others. Oh, look, this is going to be a fun night, ladies. Let's settle in. I would like you to be able to choose right up, straight now, what's the area that you really, really want to improve boundaries for yourself? Not need to, want to. So I've just put down a few suggestions. Relationships are the biggies. And like I said, my first education in boundaries was with my partner, really with my husband. Oh, family, man. Family and in-laws. This all gets juicy, goosey, loosey. So don't go like relationships with humanity. Just go either my husband or go my child, my children, friends, co-workers. Just choose one little area, food or eating. Work and business is also a really big area because there's a lot involved in that. Study was another one. Money, my boundaries around money are just amazing now. It's so good. Social media, whoa. Community, if you're involved in a church organization where you're really expected to give for free, this is massive. This is really big. And strangers, I remember being pregnant with Bo and people would fully walk up and touch my tummy. I'm like, don't touch my tummy. What the hell are you doing? I'm not a golden Buddha. Take your hands away. This is my space. This is my body. You would never walk up to a non-pregnant woman and touch her tummy. You just would never do it. Okay, stop letting people have an opinion about me and my life and what I should be doing and what's wrong with me. Damn straight, I won't repeat that, but tell them to F off. Not just taking it and silently disagreeing and resenting them, not healthy, damn straight. So this is where I want you to leverage yourself, okay? I just want to have this as a proviso from the beginning. It's not going to be comfortable doing this, but you're going to save yourself internal emotional pain that you're acclimatized to. We are so used to suffering every day a level of an emotional pain that ends up becoming a drain on your energy. It will definitely be costing you money in one way, shape, or form. And it will definitely be costing you in a level of inspiration and guidance that you need to really thrive and prosper in your life. So that's where I want you to angle yourself, is just go, I'm just going to start with a little area. I'm going to begin, and then I'm going to be able to see the rewards. So does that feel good for everyone? Oh, silent resentment. Oh, no, don't do that. That's terrible. You know, because I'm probably sounding pretty harsh when I'm like, you're raising your voice at me. Can you please speak with me politely? It sounds like, but I don't like feeling that inner resentment. How many hours do we carry that for? 3, 5? And then we're meant to show up and like play with our kids and make love with our partners. I can't make love with a heart full of freaking resentment and bitterness and weight. My husband knows lovemaking is after Lysa has released all of her emotions. Okay, I'm going to be totally honest and upfront, because you guys need to know you can't connect with yourself, with spirit, heaven, intuition, whatever you want to call it, lovemaking, or your children, if you're carrying stuff in your heart. And that's where I realized the cost was for me, because we're letting people disrespect us on the street, and then we're taking that home to our families. That's so not cool. All right, what's Kimmy saying? Kimmy brings some attitude. And this is why people always tell me I never hold back what I think. Yeah, go Kimmy. All right, I love the camaraderie. This is fun. Okay, so here's your action item. I would like you guys to feel in and pick an area and type it in. Let's have some accountability. And tell me what's the one area you're going to work on your boundaries for tonight. Make it a small, doable area, something you really want to work on. I would encourage you to make this a 1-month project. I know you're not going to probably like hearing that, but I promise you, if you nail this in a month, you can do the next one in 2 weeks. You can do the next one in a week. Do you get what I'm saying? Just nail it in the one area, and when you see those results come through, it's going to make it way, way easier the next time and the next time. Okay, excellent. Money spending. Yes, yes. I've worked with so many people to reduce debt over the last 12 months. It's so good. Boundaries there, wonderful. Clients, work, great. A relationship with husband, wonderful. People who dump their stuff on me. Okay, Bron, it's you and the world, babe. This is good. You're not starting small. It's you and the world. I love it. But for you, this is socializing with women. Okay, so I would call that your friendship area. Okay, relationships, myself, my children, my partner. Debbie, I love you. Okay, you're very motivated. I want you to pick one. Pick one that you really, really want to work on, because that's 3. Yourself, your kids, and your partner. Honestly, one will take all your focus. I promise you, just focusing on one area tonight it will help so much. Okay, bit of work coming in. Great. Stace. Is Stace still thinking? I didn't see a Stace come through. I'm like fully following up on everyone. Let's see what Sarah has to say. The way I respond to those overbearing, dominant, in my face types who have a wee moment of attack, seeking a reaction from me and don't get it. Oh, man. Practicing water off a duck's back. It's not me and my stuff. Thank you so much. Okay. Beautiful. With your son, Stace. I love it. Thank you. Thank you for giving me that. All right. Well, I'm saying thank you for everyone listening to the replay. I hope you enjoy playing with creating your own boundaries.